Are kids any different than they were a few generations ago? Well, in one sense, kids will always be kids, but with the advent of technology and social media, there does seem to be a significant change as to how much physical activity our kids are getting involved in. Joining us to discuss this further is Daryl Devonish from FSQ Sport. He is a strength and conditioning coach and former phys ed teacher who specializes in youth development. Daryl, welcome to Bridge City News. You're joining us today from Toronto, right?
Yes. Hi, Jeanette. Thanks for having me on today. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Daryl, you just wrote an article in the National Post in which you write that we are in an epidemic of childhood inactivity and that there's a serious need to teach kids the fundamentals of movement. So tell me, how bad is this? You note that childhood obesity rates in Canada have nearly tripled over the past 30 years. That's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Well, first of all, the article sort of stir up some conversations, and know what what's happened is basically, you know, it's brought on the underlying issues around COVID, and what's happened is you can see all the problems now with what's happened with sports and physical activity as a as a result of COVID. So the obesity rates, they were bad prior to COVID. Like, these were going up.
Mhm.
So now, for a year now, we have people that have been sedentary, spending more times on screens, not socializing with their friends. They've kind of lost their routines, and those kids that played sports 3 to 4 times a week,
Mhm.
well, they're not doing that anymore. Even our kids that were basically getting the bare minimum, like walking to school, kids that were playing at recess, they're not getting these things, and they're sitting at home eating and not moving.
Yeah.
So, this is why the rates, have skyrocketed over the last year, but they were already headed that way.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, especially with schools being locked down. So kids aren't getting that recess time and they're not getting phys ed class and they're not even walking to school anymore. It's crazy. So it's not just the physical health challenges of obesity, but it's also, of course, linked to depression and poor mental health. Like all of this stems from lack of activity.
Correct. And a lot of that is due, well, if you're being sedentary and you're sitting around,
Yeah.
you're not feeling so good about yourself, it starts to affect your energy, your self-talk. Your self-talk becomes negative, and your mood, it lowers your mood. So this is where we are. None of us have been here before. Most kids, they've not been here. Adults haven't been here in this lockdown. So fear of the unknown, anxiety, depression. We have kids that are acting out now. They don't know how to behave, and if you're not comfortable, your clothes are starting to get tight. You gain some weight. You're not sure if you're going to be that person you were before. It's tough. Um, Parents, it's tough on parents. Parents have to be home more, and they have to be, now they're the teacher, the phys ed teacher. They're trying to do their own work, and make sure they keep their kids entertained. So
Yeah.
it, we're in a tough time.
Oh, gosh, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, getting kids involved in sports can turn those numbers around. It's just been hard during the pandemic, of course, because a lot of sports have been canceled. But this is something you're very passionate about. In fact, you say that sports saved your life. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
100%, Jeanette. Um, First of all, I believe that sports is a dress rehearsal for life. Basically, there's so many lessons that you can learn from being on a team, working with others for a common goal, building. Sports helps build confidence in yourself and your teammates, building connections through common interests, understanding how cultures work. This is how we do things. This is how our team plays. These are the little rituals we have. It helps you learning about inclusion. Everyone's got to be included. Everyone gets a turn. Make people feel like they matter. Like, these are things I learned from sports. When I say sports saved my life, I mean, this is where I got my confidence, that the playing field was even in the sport. That didn't matter what color you were, who you identified with, how much money you made. It's where everyone was the same. And I learned how to lose. I learned how to win. I learned that everything's not always going to go my way. You know what I mean? And so these are the lessons that I learned from sport. I also, in me, and I'm grateful for this. I also got an education out of it. I got to go to a private school, which had a profound effect on me. So this is what sport does, and this is why you've heard me say, save my life. I don't know what I've been doing. It kept me out of trouble. But that's
For
the other thing.
sure. And it's a great, like, you're basically talking about it building character, right? It's a good character builder. And it also opens up those opportunities because it's true. Kids can possibly get scholarships for better schools, which is, that's a real door opener. Absolutely.
Well, that was a game changer for me,
So do you think,
100%.
yeah, do you think that interest in sports has dropped off dramatically for today's teens?
Well, research has shown that kids are dropping out of sports now by the age of 11. It used to be 13, right? So that's a few years back. I got three main key reasons for them dropping out. First and foremost, sports has become all about winning. Man. It's not fun. If you're not having fun, you're going to quit. You know what I mean? And there's a big connection, and you kind of said it just now, is a big connection between playing sports and getting a scholarship or going pro. And if you start to realize around 11 or 12, I'm not that good. I'm not going to get a scholarship. I'm not going to, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be a pro. And what's the point of playing? So that sort of deters people. And then, I'll talk more to this afterwards. Is lack of fundamental movement skills. If you didn't learn the ABCs as a kid, run, jump, skip, throw, you're not having a lot of fun because you're not that good. It's like not learning how to read when you're a little kid. You don't want to go and read in front of people if you're not a good reader. And then third is we're specializing kids way too early, and we're turning sports into a job. So by the age of 13, you're you're done. I'm tired. You're burnt out. So these are some of the things that are happening, and this is the reason why the team I work with, FSQ, you know, we help sports organizations and parents and coaches build better experiences for kids to have active lives and quality sports experiences.
Oh, interesting. So you actually help kids to keep that interest beyond age 11 to 13.
And coaches and administrators and organizations. That's what we do, and we got a big mission, uh, to fix. I want to say you're going to say you sound crazy. Fix sport, help you know kids with physical literacy and overcoming obesity and mental health challenges.
Absolutely. Now, one thing you note also is that public schools seem to be putting less emphasis and funding on education. Is that
Yeah.
true?
So what's happened, and as I said, I used to be a school teacher, and I've been in this industry now or working with kids now for 30 years. Over the years, the marginalization of phys ed at the elementary level, from let's say K to 8, you know, has caused phys ed teachers to be generalists. So we don't have specialists anymore. We have generalists teaching fundamental movement skills. Now, if you're a generalist and you're not equipped with the right tools, or you don't know how to assess, and you're not giving a quality experience for these kids, and it's kind of like having your poorest teachers teaching kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, when they need the strongest teachers teaching kids how to read and write. Because if you build a great foundation, well, guess what? It's going to be easier to do other things later on. But if you don't build a strong foundation, that's where we're having the biggest challenges. And if you don't, the kids aren't coming out with being confident, competent, later on for high school. So these are things that help people become. They don't have to become a pro, but helps them lead to healthy, active living later on in life.
Right. Because you talk about the fact that it's not just important for students to be active, but they also should be actually educated about physical activity.
Yeah. And what I'm referring to is we need to teach the when I say fundamental movement skills, just for people listening, I'm talking about the ABCs of movement, like running, jumping, skipping, kicking, catching, throwing. If you don't learn these skills, well, you got problems. And this is where if you build the confidence in the kids at an early stage, and you make sure that everyone gets it, the chances are they're going to have a better sport experience later on. They'll be open to trying more things. Like if someone says, hey, we're going to go play with the soccer ball later on today, and you have those skills a little bit, you have the basics, you'll be like, yeah, I'll come out. But if you don't have those skills, you're not going to come. And that's what we're not helping with out with the kids at the elementary stage. And that's the biggest challenge is we haven't equipped the teachers with the tools, and I said back to the generalist comment, with the tools to assess these kids and give them the best experience so they leave grade school with these being competent or at least proficient in these fundamental movement skills.
Now, we all know, of course, that like playing some sports can be very expensive, and it can certainly be a barrier to low income or even sometimes middle income families to put their kids in those organized sports. So, any thoughts on solutions to this?
Yeah, this is what I hear this a lot, and we live in a I hate to say it now, we live in a pay for play society. If you want your kid to learn how to play volleyball or basketball, you can't rely on the school system to teach them. They're not getting those skills there. So you got to go find a club. You got to go find, like some coach to train them up and be proficient in volleyball. So one of the things we suggest is, in some communities, check out the recreational center, like the Parks and Recs. Um, Parents, they have to sort of be involved now. They might have to play with them. They might have to set them up with their friends in games, after school programs. And then these are things where it's not so much about being competitive. It's just a place to go and play some pickup basketball or learn how to play some soccer or spike ball. So these are some of the solutions that we're having. It's like not necessarily on a club team like a basketball team, but it's just pickup and it's games. And this is how you can expose people to getting confident, you know but it starts with the community and everybody sort of being on the same page.
Hmm. Absolutely. What about kids that might be overweight, or even parents of kids who are overweight and they're thinking to themselves, it might be too late to do anything about this? Any advice for those folks?
And it's never too late. First of all, never too late. So first of all, it starts with changing your mindset. You gotta have first of all, you gotta want to do it. And this starts with changing habits. Who do we want to be? We want to be a healthy family. Well, what does that mean? Well, a healthy family, we're going to go for a walk every day, guys. We're going to drink more water. We're going to make sure we get good sleep. We're going to start to eat cleaner, right? And we're going to manage our screen time now. So this starts with everybody's alignment in the home. This starts with taking action. Like first there's awareness, then you got to come up with a strategy, and then there's an action plan. And that's what I'm basically trying to get the schools to do now is we need organizational alignment. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Teachers have to recognize how important this is and why they're doing it. So it gets done. Because if we just say, yeah, you should do this, it doesn't get done. And there's a lot of good teachers, and there's a lot of teachers that aren't doing it. They may not have the tools for whatever reason, or they don't have the passion, but we are not setting our kids up for success. And that goes at home. Parents have to step up, teachers have to step up. Administrators, we all have to step up. It's not, I'm not calling out one group, calling myself up. I deal with it with my own kids.
Right. That is absolutely great advice there, Daryl, especially for the families of the kids. Great advice for anyone, actually. Thanks so much for being with us today, Daryl. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I just want to help. This is a movement, and it's our mission to sort of get this going as many as possible in the best environment possible for as long as possible.
Daryl Devonish from FSQ Sport is a strength and conditioning coach and former phys ed teacher who specializes in youth development.